Hello and welcome back to Webs. I am your father. No, I'm not really, but I am here to tell you a little bit about our logo and how it got to where it is. It involves a little bit of a history lesson, which will lead into some very exciting news of what happened this week at Webb's Grainworks. Let's do this. Alright, so I originally came up with the concept for the logo, and then I had my tattoo guy work on it a little bit, and then I gave it to another friend of mine, and so there's been about 3 or 4 versions of the logo, and this is where we're at now. Webb's is pulled from my dad's signature. The whole idea of the distillery from the beginning has been a legacy play, so to be able to use my dad's actual signature in the logo was really, really cool. Keeping with the legacy theme, I also wanted it to look like a family crest. So I based the shape right here off of the Webb family crest, and in fact, the griffin is from the Webb family crest. Then everything else is representative of what we're gonna do here at Webb's Grainworks. The Olympic still for the distilling, the pig for the food, and then the old school beer keg for the beer that we're gonna do in-house. Why Webb's Grainworks? Well, because we're not just a distillery, we're not just a brewery, so it's not Webb's Brewery, it's not Webb's Distillery, but the processes of brewing and distilling are both grain-based, therefore Webb's Grainworks. What are the grains we have represented here? Well, corn is what we're gonna use to make our whiskey. In fact, bourbon has to be a 51% corn mash bill to be considered bourbon. Barley. Barley will go into both our distillates and our beer. So that's a big one. We're gonna use a lot of barley around here. The last one is wheat. We will use wheat in some of our wheated whiskeys, as well as in the kitchen where we plan to have a complete baking and bread program. Barley is a big one in for beer. Let me tell you a little bit about beer and the history, shall we? Beer is one of the oldest beverages in the world. It pretty much went water and then beer. Way before we learned how to juice fruits or milk cows, we were drinking beer. Firstly, by accident. People would go out, they would gather fruits and grain, and they would store them, and if they sat a little too long, they would start to ferment, and the resulting intoxicant kept them coming back time and time again. In fact, you will see animals in nature eating fermented fruits, getting a little woo from it, liking it, and coming back time and time again. There's a lot of studies out there that show that the cultivation of these grains for the purpose of beer manufacturing was how societies first started to form. Pretty interesting. The very first people out there that kind of like formed society and had jobs were looking immediately after they got off work to have a beer. And that's how society formed, kids. Pretty fun. Guess what? We're gonna make beer here at Webb's. In fact, this week, I officially ordered our brew house from Premier Stainless in San Diego. Put a 10% down payment down, and that thing is in the works. We should have it on site here in around 5 to 6 months. Really exciting. If you're interested in any more of the history of beer, I also do a weekly podcast called the Jeremy Webisodes Podcast. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts. And our 23rd episode, which happened to be our New Year's episode, I do a deep dive into the history of beer as a beverage. So check it out, and don't forget to subscribe, and keep coming back every week to watch us build out Webb's Grainworks. Cheers all.